My project figure 5-9 is still having the issue, and it may be because of the plane, that after I do the exploded view, that it doesn't quite return as expected. So, since that can float, if it became a real issue, I might try floating the spacer plate and centering this on the front plane and using the front plane, since it doesn't have to solve like it does for the plane one. Haven't seen that one before. Usually the mirrors work out pretty well. So we'll kind of just see what that does. I went back and added the pegs, and sure enough, it made it pretty complicated. All right, so I have the explode with the pegs. I did not include them in the all of the explodes. Well, that time it went back, so we'll save it. And then for the drawing detail, I think I'm going to create, so we don't have anything in our templates. And if I come over to the tutorial, we go to the default draw, it's going to allow us to pick up the ISO A4 through A1 and the ANSI A through D sizes. I can't say that I'm overly fond of this title block. I've redrawn it on several occasions and always end up either deconstructing it or moving it around. So if I want to use this, that'll be fine. I'm going to save a blank A size though. So what that entails is that I'm going to edit the sheet format, and anything inside of the box can pretty much just go away. So again, selecting left to right, or right to left, is going to be anything that the box crosses, and then this is going to become my blank sheet format. Alright, so if I go to save this, I want to save it with my templates, and I got out of sequence already. I'm going to go back over and do a save sheet format first so that it is in the mix, and this is my A blank. So if I was creating mine, this would be a good starting point, or I could just completely start from nothing if I wanted to go that route. So I'm not quite sure why the sheet format and the drawing template are saved in separate locations under the program data and the program files, that kind of thing, but they are. And when I create them, I end up putting them both in the same folder, which doesn't seem to have any negative effects. So the drawing document template is the file that shows up underneath our new, and the sheet format is what shows up when we go to add the next sheet. So if I go to create a new format, or add sheet, it says the sheet format cannot be located, and would have thought, so if I browse, well, let's check the location first. So come up to my file locations, we have the templates are in place, the sheet formats, we only have the one location, and so some of these items can only have one location, and this one doesn't seem to be barking at me. So find my system, point it to the templates, select the folder, hit OK, and yes, we will. And then I need to elevate. So now that I've elevated it, it goes back. Let's go to the properties, and then this is one of the. Okay, so that put me in the sheet format, which I didn't want. Let's do the little down arrow and the properties, and a lot of times I don't delete out there, so one of the first things I do is take away the delete and change it to properties. Alright, so there's my A blank, and then I will apply the changes, and even though I don't really need that sheet for the drawing template, that should set it up to where after I do delete it, and we save the drawing template one more time. So drawing template to templates, and then save. I need to make sure that that's in that location. And then when I create the new, let's go back to templates, I'll pick up my A blank. And not just yet. I want to do one more test, so if we it still didn't grab the sheet format. Alright, so let's make sure it gets in there. And then OK. And we'll go back and check the properties. Alright, so that one goes. Nope, still trying to do the part file. Gonna go ahead and let it overwrite. Alright, let's try one more time. It should have 2 sheets in it now, which I don't particularly want. And we'll close, and so there's my second sheet. It didn't bark at me, and the third sheet did find the format, the sheet format. So I can double check with the properties. Alright, so that's getting annoying. So at the very bottom we'll go to Customize. And I don't typically delete out of there, but I do use the properties all the time, so I'm going to reverse those. Alright, so from the sheet I'll should still be able to get to the delete. And I can always highlight and hit delete on the keyboard. No? Alright, should have just left the delete on then. Alright, so File, Save As, Drawing Template, A blank, Save, Yes. Alright, we're going to try this one more time. So it takes a little testing. I don't think I've ever successfully done it on the first pass of the sheet format and the parts. So we're going to bring in the sub. We have the start command. When I come over to the next, this is where it's going to allow me to pick up any of the configurations and the exploded view. And I just want the isometric. And we're going to stay in hidden lines removed. The sheet scale should scale automatically. Let's go ahead and position it. Oh, got all of the origins turned on. So that's something we'll need to take off of the template. So let's turn those origins off. And scale-wise, 1 to 5. Let's see what 1/2 looks like. A little big. Yeah, that's not going to fit. We can stay with the 1 to 5. That'll give us a little room to work with. And then when we go to create the bill of materials, well, I can always do a Control-C and a Control-V. And if I'd brought in the first, oops, what did I kick out there? Guess I told it to open it. Is I can always come back and uncheck the show in exploded state, and I'll have one with and one without. Alright, so my tables then, at the very bottom, table, bill of materials, just off screen, and maybe I can raise that up a little ways. Alright, just right on the edge and still not going to see the bill of materials. Alright, so standard bill of materials, I haven't modified it, haven't done anything to it, so we're just going to do top level parts, which is fine. Display configurations, names as the separate items, and then I haven't created any layers for this template. We'll do that at a future. And then we have the description, which didn't pick up, and I have the part numbers. So it gives me the mix anyway. And we'll kind of rough position those. Almost all of my exploded lines came through. So the ones that I added did not, so apparently I did not create them as jog lines correctly with the tool, since it only showed them as center lines, but they are still showing up when I do the explode, so that's interesting. Let's go ahead and do the balloon callouts then. So auto balloon is working pretty well. It's going to add the magnet lines, start at 1 and increment at 1. And then Let's go ahead and take them all up and see what that looks like. And a little busy to the bottom, that's a little better. To the side, yeah, not bad. Yeah, kind of toss up on the square, and then all the way around. If you choose the all the way around, make sure you draw them in a little bit so they're not all over the place. And let's go ahead and accept. So defaulted to leader attachment to edges. We can switch it to faces. Edges is fine for what we're doing. I can always, if there's something that needs more detail, I can always pick it and go with that one. So if I need to rearrange, we can grab location, the double arrow, or the four-headed arrow, put it in a new position, and set our stage. Alright, so the one that came up, we'll see if it's still here on the reference geometry, is to set a bounding box. Best fit or custom plane. Reference plane to customize the bounding box. Include hidden components, envelope components, hidden bodies, include surfaces, show preview. Alright, so now let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Alright, so the bounding box of the envelope. And then the trick will be, does it actually select, or is it a feature? And what can we do with it? Alright, so it did something, and then would assume that we'll have to look down through here to see if any more show up. Well, it popped it up, but then it disappeared. Alright, so got to do a little more digging and looking into that. For our pieces then, we're going to go through the list of everything that needs to be included in the title block and the sheet layout. So staying with the blank for now just because we want to build that. And now it's telling me I can't find my sheet format. Alright, so we get it there. Hit OK. It's finding it. I wonder if that's under the options. Alright, so the 2017 or 2018 had that issue with the drawing sheets. My custom property values from this sheet on all sheets is unchecked. Sheet format for use different sheet format, no, that's unchecked. So, if you had one that was super detailed for the very first and then additional sheets just were simplified, you could have that second sheet format. Zones are from the lower right, rows. Nope, don't think that's it. So I'll have to push a few more buttons, see if I can get that, that sheet format to cooperate. So if I needed the higher level, no, I just needed to insert view layout, model view. I'm not going to do the view palette on this go around. And then the assembly, so the larger, and can rebuild. This is going to be an isometric. And if we show that one in the exploded state, then it also picks up. Now that one's actually picking up the bounding boxes. Alright, so still have to do a little more detail. So at this point we can keep adding. It should find the sheet format because the previous one allowed it. And then we would need to go through, and on something this complexity, if I was building for each of the assemblies, I would probably do an individual assembly drawing, the exploded view, the bill of materials, detail on its own sheet, and then for convenience just have a master of all of the parts, so whatever we ran up to, 18 or 19 pieces, would be in its own drawing package. Alright, so I'll kind of give you a sense of how to build this out. I'm going to do a little bit more with drawings as we go along and develop this title block, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this one where it is. We'll save it with our components and make sure that it went into the right location so that I can come back to it later.